I think we are live, so let us go. Namaste to all of you. This is a new experience for me to just look at the camera eye and not have any of the people in front of me. But hopefully it'll be okay for you. First of all, my greetings to all of you, especially in these very difficult times. And in a way, it's good that we are able to communicate despite all of the lockups and problems with coronavirus. I am at home and you're at your home, and we can communicate on this very important subject about Vedanta. So let me start with a prayer, and I would also play that mantra that was sent to us recently by Swami Onkarananda through Ramaswamy, our friend. And so you already have that, but it'll be good to play it before this class. So let's start with a prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvisha vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now the Gita Dhyanam. Excuse me. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rutra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramo Panishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tatkatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na Vidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Atrinatva Krime Hanmi Kanvena Jamadagnina Vishwavasor Brahmana Hataha Kriminagum Rajaha Apyeshagsthapatir Hataha Atho Mata Atho Pita Atho Sthura Atho Kshudra Atho Krishna Atho Shveta Atho Ashatika Hataha Shvetabhis saha sarve hataha Aharavadya Shrutasya havisho yatha Tat satyam Yadamum yamasya jambhayo Adadhami tathahi tat Khandphan mrasi Harihi Om.
Before we start the class, just want to let you know that we are still experimenting with the projection of the text onto this television. And in the first class, we found out that it is not as clear, it's a little blurry, and we'll look into that for next week. And I'll make some adjustments by changing the text size. Hopefully you can still see it, but in some way you are going to get a copy of that from me after the class, and so it is not crucial. but you may have to contend with the fact that the text visible on the screen is not as clear as it should be. So apologize for that. So it's been 2 weeks since we last talked, and that was a long time ago, so a very quick revision would make sense at this point. So as you know, we are studying the 7th chapter, which is a exposition on Ishvara, God, in particular, and of course all the other aspects in terms of our relationship to Ishvara, how to reach Ishvara, how to understand Ishvara. All of that is being taken up, but the main focus on the 7th chapter through the 12th chapter is going to be Ishvara. So that is really what we are doing. So in this section, we were talking about the advantages of devotion, the aspects of devotion, bhakti. This is the topic that we are doing. And here, what we saw a couple of weeks ago is that you can divide bhakti into 2 segments. So what is called sakama bhakti and nishkama bhakti. So if you look at the etymological meaning of these 2 Sanskrit terms, sakama and nishkama, they literally mean a bhakti associated with desire, sakama, kama saha vartate iti sakamaha, and desires that are devoid of bhakti which is devoid out of desire, nishkama bhakti. Kamaha nishkriyate iti nishkamaha bhakti. So this is the etymological meaning. So this is difficult to understand that all bhakti has some desires associated with it. So here the scholars have interpreted these 2 words the following way. What they have said is that sakama bhakti, which by the way is from verse number 20 to 26, and we will complete it today. And then next week we will hopefully go into nishkama bhakti with verse number 27 to 30, which is the end of the chapter. So sakama bhakti is defined as in devotion where the ends and means are finite in nature. This is the definition of sakama bhakti. And nishkama bhakti is where it's possible that the means may be finite. The means are always finite. You cannot have infinite means. Finite means that the 2 main powers that we are given by Ishvara, which is Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti, as we have been discussing, those are finite means. But the finite means are employed in such a way that the end result is infinite. So that's what it means, is that the bhakti where there is an infinite goal. Infinite goal means, this word infinity can be confusing. What do you mean by infinity? I don't know anything about infinity. So infinity means, really the way it should be understood in our mind, in our understanding, is infinity means one where nothing more needs to be done. It has no end to it. In fact, it is very interesting if you look at the 2 main characterization of Atma, which is given in the Shastra. One is called Satchidananda. One is called Satchidananda, Sat, Chit and Ananda. The second characterization which is given is called Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Both are the description of the same thing, Satchidananda and Satyam Jnanam Anantam. But the point I wanted to make was that in the second characterization, the third word is Anantam. Anantam means that there is nothing more that needs to be done. It has no ends. This is the meaning of infinity. What it really means is, another way to look at it is that in our life, whatever we do is an intermediate step. It's kind of like taking a journey where you have to change planes. And so, we always go for non-stop flights. Now, these days, of course, there's no flights whatsoever because of coronavirus. But when flights resume, which they will, you always want to get a non-stop. But you don't always get a non-stop, especially if you want to save money. So you have 2 stops. So you go from here to Houston, then Houston to Miami, and from Miami to a South American country, or something like that. So when you go to Houston, it's an intermediate stop. You rest there for a while, and then you come back again to the same plane or change planes and go to the next one. This is what our life is all about. Really, when we have experiences, we expect that experience to abide by us for the time being until we go to the next set of experiences, next set of experiences, next set of experiences. These are all intermediate stops. Intermediate stops to where? Where is my final destination? The final destination is infinity, Anantam, where I don't have to go anywhere. I am happy. I don't have to do anything. My nature, I discover the very nature of Ananda. So Satchidananda equals Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So the word Anantam and Anandam are interchangeably used. Anantam equals Anandam, unconditional freedom. And unconditional freedom means Anantam, infinity. So anyway, going back to it, this is the meaning of bhakti with an infinite goal. So now, another point we studied last time, I'm still revising, is that we can take an Ishvara in one of 2 ways. It is our choice. It's our choice. Krishna says it. It's not as though this is not given. Krishna says this. Krishna says that you can take me in one of 2 ways. You can either invoke me as a finite God with a form. With a form meaning what? Form means that it was born someplace. No form is endless. Form is always born at a particular time and a place, and also subject to being gone at a particular time and place. So this is called a finite form. And you can do that if you like. Or you can invoke me as an infinite person. In some ways, this is kind of like, I think I may have said this later. Not sure. But anyway, in some ways to look upon this is, a person and a personality. Which is true for all of us. All of us are a person. There is a person. But we also have a personality. In some ways, you can look upon this way, the person that we are is infinite. Never born. Not possible to die. But the personality, which is the jivatvam, the individuality, is a personality. So this is true for individuals as well, and you can also take this as the Swarupa of Ishvara. And people do. People worship Krishna with a birthday. Janmashtami. And they do fasting and so on and so forth, and they sing the glory of the flute in the hands of Krishna. This is all Sakama Bhakti. Here in the Bhagavad Gita, we are taking Krishna as infinite. In fact, the nature of Krishna is the nature of you and I, because the person is the same. Personalities are all different. Anyway, so one other point of revision, I haven't even started, I'll go, we'll chant some verses when we start the new one, but this is just revising from last time. When you take any devata, any devi, any god as a infinite, then all other gods can only be taken as finite, because there is only one infinite. And you have the option, you can take Shiva as an infinite, and you can now take Vishnu as finite, or you can do the reverse. You can take Vishnu as the infinite, and you can take Shiva as the finite. Which is done. We have disputes between Vaishnavites and Shaivites on exactly the same point. And Krishna says, if you want to do that, this is okay with me. That I understand you are devoted to a finite God. You go to the Ganesha temple, who is remover of your obstacles, which is absolutely fine. And in fact, not only that, it says that I will support it. I respect your choice of going to a finite devata, and I will bless both the devata and you, because I have the power to do so. And I respect your choice. But here, one other thing I was just saying, I'm just looking at these notes, that if you look at Namavali, Namavali means, Ashtotra, the 108 names of Shiva, etc. You find that in those names, both the finite and the infinite are invoked. So, for example, Shivaya Namaha, infinite. Shashishekharaya Namaha, as finite. Shashishekharaya means the one that has the image of the moon on the head. Shashishekhara Namaha. Avyaktaya Namaha, infinite. Ashtamurtaye Namaha. Should be long, it's a mistake. It should be Ashtamurtaye, not Ashtamurtaye. Ashtamurtaye means the one that has 8 forms, finite. But here, as we say in Gita, let me expand this, we choose to see Krishna as infinite. Then Krishna also went through the advantages and disadvantages of Sakama Bhakti. So, the advantages of Sakama Bhakti, of finite devotion, are it will work in this lifetime, hopefully in this lifetime itself, because pardon me, you can have a Sakama Bhakti for the next life also. So that's a different thing, but most of the Sakama Bhakti is for this life, that God, please make sure that I'm successful and this, that, or the other. The advantages are that if you do that sincerely, it will happen to you, no doubt about it. The disadvantages are that the results of the Sakama is limited in time and scope. It's an intermediate stop. Antavantaha is conditional, it's also conditional, because if any success is dependent on something else, if there is some changes in the situation, then that's gone also. So that's the disadvantage of that as well. So let's do now the following. I should have really done it in the beginning, but let us chant 1, 2, 3, 4. Let us chant 4 verses from the 7th chapter of the Gita, and I will chant half a line twice. So the first time just on myself, and the second time hopefully you are also chanting at the same time. So verse number 23. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhakti alpamedhasam. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhakti alpamedhasam. Devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayaha. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayaha. Param bhavamajanantaha mama vyayamuktam anuttamam. Param bhavamajanantaha mama avyayam anuttamam. Pardon me. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha. Mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam. Mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam. Then the last one, number 26. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna. Bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. Bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. Those are the 4 verses. So, as we were discussing, the word antavantaha is given in the verse number 23 that we did last time. Antavattu tu phalam tesham. I think I made a mistake. It should not be antavanta, it should be antavat. Antavat tu phalam tesham means that please understand that your sakama bhakti, even though you have chosen to do that and I support your choice, please see the disadvantage that it is going to end. The results are not going to be permanent. It can only be impermanent, very limited. Means that they have an anta. It is not ananta. So anyway, that was the verse number 23. Now let's go to the new material from today, which is verse number 24. Here, Krishna reminds us that he, as well as all of us individually, as we have been studying all this all along, this is just a reminder. It's really more of a reminding rather than a new material. Has two personalities. As I was saying earlier about a person and the personality. So two aspects, not two personalities, but two aspects. So one is what is called a para-prakriti, which by the way is also ours. So there is quite a bit of similarity between, there are obviously some huge differences as well, but for the essential nature there is a lot of similarity between Ishvara and each one of us. Both of us are conscious, both of us are never born, both of us cannot die, both of us are independent, both of us are unconditionally happy. The difference is that the Ishvara knows this and I don't. That's it. Anyway, we'll discuss that later. But from this segmentation of the two types of natures, it is similar. So, Krishna says, listen, I have a para-prakriti and an apara-prakriti. Now, the unintelligent people only prefer to see my lower nature. This is the issue. This is what's happening. So, the first line of the verse number 24 is Avyaktam vyaktimapannam. It is Manyante mam abuddhayaha. Abuddhayaha means not buddhayaha. They are not yet thinking the right way. They're not thinking the right way. They are just taking the easy way out, which you can if you want to. But this is not the real nature. My real nature is the para-prakriti. And by the way, the important thing is the same thing is true for yourself. You are taking your apara-prakriti and not going any further. We are only analyzing the personality. It's kind of like, if you are playing a part in a play, you're very involved in the very plot of the play. You're not really thinking about who you really are. You don't like certain parts, so you go to the writer and say, "Can you change it?" The writer says, "No, this is the way it is. Take it or leave it." No, I don't like certain aspects of my part and so on. He says, well, It's exactly the situation that we have in our life. We say, I wish I would be somebody else. And someone told me this story, a Christian story, which is very interesting, that there was a person who was carrying a cross, and so he went to God and said, this cross is too heavy for me to carry, and I cannot do it anymore. Can you give me a different cross to carry? So God told him, okay, here's a warehouse. It's full of different crosses. Okay? And then, so what you do is, you leave your cross in the warehouse, and you can pick up any other cross and you walk out with it. I give you that freedom. Okay? So the person said, fine. He goes there and he puts his cross down, and he goes around the warehouse looking for all different crosses. And he comes out with a cross and he says, okay, this is what I want. And God told him, do you know that is the cross you came with? The moral of the story is that you always look upon someone else's, I wish I was like that. I wish I was Dick. This is not useful because you do not understand the disadvantages of the other. You only are looking at it partially as the advantages of being the other person. If you knew the unseen problems that the other person has, you will not wish to be any different than what you are. You are exactly what you should be at this point in time, not any different. And having taken that into account, now improve your situation. And in our studies case, the improvement of the situation is to look at your Paraprakriti. See that eventually, first get used to your personality, your situation, your station in life. Don't keep on complaining. Don't say this is a problem, that's a problem, I wish it will be different. You look at coronavirus, for example. Do you think that the Ishvara doesn't know this? You know who did this to the whole thing? It was Ishvara. He's got his reasons why he needs to clean up some things. I was talking to a person the other day, and I was saying, there's some advantages to this, and of the coronavirus, at least in the Santa Clara Valley where we are shelter in place. I cannot leave the home and so on, and I am very happy not to leave the home, by the way. This is so wonderful. Quite right. I can now study more. I can walk around. I walk around 10,000 steps around my house and assist, do some cooking, eat very well. So I'm happy not to really knock around doing things and so on. But so I was telling this friend of mine that there are some advantages, and she says, by the way, do you know there are some more advantages? Global warming is going to become less. There's less airline travel, which is very, very hard on global warming. It is very inefficient travel. Car travel is down. People are not doing unnecessary things. So there's some advantages to it also. And yes, some people will die, are dying. This is all Ishvara's wish. And quite frankly, I'm telling you that if I were to get coronavirus and I die, I think I was telling this to someone. This is Ishvara's wish to say, I have a change in your situation. I know you didn't want to do that, but I have a change in situation. And hopefully it will be better for me. Not always, because I've had a very wonderful life and perhaps my punyas don't last, and so I may get into a worse situation. But that's okay too, because I have a lot of old karmas that are lying in. But hopefully, if my life gets interrupted, it has been blessed by Ishvara. He says, I know exactly what you need to do. Anyway, so we don't have to really keep worrying about all of this and so on. So, Mam Abuddhayaha means that please see my higher nature and concentrate on that. Go from Apara Buddhi, Apara Prakriti to Para Prakriti. So this is what he's saying. So he says, in going into finishing verse number 24, second one is that Mam Abuddhayaha, they don't see my Paraprakriti. And instead, second line, Param Bhavam Ajanantaha Mama Avyayam Anuttamam. He says that they do not see my Paraprakriti. And really the more important thing is, really speaking, I don't care about Ishvara. I care about myself. And what I don't know is that caring about Ishvara is caring about myself. There's no difference. So when we say, that people, when Ishvara says that people don't understand me, I should take it as, don't you understand yourself? Don't you see that you have a Paraprakriti? This is the reason for the second line. He says, Param Bhavam Ajanantaha Mama Avyayam Anuttamam. Avyayam means one which there is no decay. There's no change. It is always truthful. Always has been. It is independent of time. Anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. So anyway, so that's the verse number 24. So now we go to the next verse, number 25. And here the issue is, wait a second. You're telling me that everyone has a Paraprakriti and an Aparaprakriti. The person is infinite. And only the personality is finite. Aren't you telling me this? Yeah, that's what we're saying. How is it that people don't see this? There's something wrong in this picture. Because you're telling me this obvious truth that you're saying, don't you see it, don't you see it? I don't see it. And not only that, everyone else also doesn't see it. How is that possible? If something is true, you see, when something is true, like for example this coronavirus, yes, there is a virus which is apparently a brand new virus, very lethal. This is the truth, so we respect it. We all see it. Yes, we take precautions and all that. And so if you say that the Paraprakriti is true for all of us, then why don't I see it? So he says, to answer that question is, Na aham prakashaha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha. Yoga maya samavritaha. He says that it is because you are deluded. You are completely uninformed. You have a wrong picture of things because of my yoga maya. Yoga maya. And so the understanding of the maya is very crucial to the understanding of the self. It's crucial to understanding the Vedanta. And you will see us going back to it over and over again in different ways because of the question that all of us have, which is, how is it that we don't see it? And how is it that everybody doesn't see it? And so, by raising that question in my mind, which is a natural question, it raises the question, are you telling me the truth? Why should I believe you? You keep saying that, please have Shraddha in me, Shraddha in me. And I don't see it, so why is there something wrong with this picture? This is the real problem. And so for the understanding of Maya means my doubts about it are removed. This, by the way, is a very important concept. I was just studying the earlier class today. Excuse me. That as you read the literature, the Vedantic literature, the spiritual literature, extensively written, huge amount of literature, written by different people at different times, interpretations and so on and so forth. There are certain common elements that appear again and again that people emphasize on. And those common elements we should be very cognizant of. Because I've been studying Vedanta for a long time from lots of different authors. And I have several teachers over the time. Swami Chinmayananji, Swami Maheshananji, and Swami Dayananji. And then their subsidiaries, Swami Tattva Vididatmanandaji. And from all of those, certain important elements stick in our minds. The one of them is, this is the thing I want to point out. This is what I was talking about earlier in the class also, on a different example. One of those common elements which is important is to focus on your doubts. Remove your doubts. Work on removing doubts. Please don't question the veracity. I mean, if you want to question, it's your choice. You can walk away from it and say, I don't understand what these guys are saying. Fine, that's okay. But if something sounds true to you, if something strikes you as something, wow, this is good. But then now you have doubts in your mind. I remember when we finished our course with Swami Dayananji, I had the privilege at the end of the course. The whole thing was all done and so on. And I don't remember exactly where, but I had the privilege of driving him back to the airport. I happened to have a car, and then he came with me. So I remember asking him this question. I said, Swamiji, it was so wonderful that we had this course with you for 2.5 years, and we studied a lot. Where do I go from here? What is next for me? I remember this so well. And his answer also, I've never forgotten. His answer was, work on removing your doubts. And quite frankly, at that time, I wasn't quite sure that I appreciated that. But since then, what has to happen is really just removing doubts. I know it's absolutely a crucial point about that. And so really what we have to do is to understand how and so the reason that I'm bringing you this whole story is to understand Maya. Removing doubts is possible if you have a better idea of how Maya works. So I'll give you another example of this, an important principle. So one question that we all have, I had two, and it took me a long time to make sure that my question was answered, is why have this creation? The creation is full of problems. This coronavirus, my gosh, one of the worst problems we have faced in my lifetime. It's unbelievable. I could never believe that the money is gone, the stocks are down, health is endangered, there's no money moving out. There was nothing like this ever possible. Why do this creation? This is the question. Maya Shakti is the answer. What do you mean by that? This we have to really understand, and it's not just today. We have to understand over a long period of time. This is where Swami Paramarthananda says so well. He says the knowledge and the introduction to Vedanta, it doesn't mean you have a couple of classes or you take a 16-week course on Introduction to Vedanta, you're done. No. Because you're dealing with lots of doubts in your world, in your mind. And all of the Shastra take some time to answer those. It's for you. And so spend a lot of time thinking, and only then changes will occur. And so the removal of doubts is not a trivial thing. And the removal of doubts comes with an understanding of Maya Shakti. So one of the questions that I used to have, going back to what I started with, is that why have this creation? I don't have that question anymore. I don't have that question anymore. Because, first of all, this is an amazing creation where you can say, what creation? There's no reality to the creation. Well, I'm bothered by it, and yeah, I know. You cannot have any kind of a play without having a plot. This is a play with a very thick plot. Maya Shakti. You cannot have a play with a plot without the Maya Shakti. And so the more you grapple with exactly how the Maya Shakti manifests itself, I'll give you some aspects of that even now. But anyway, going back to verse number 25, he says, the reason that people do not see my Paraprakriti, even though it is the truth, is Yoga Maya Samavrita. So he says, completely covered by the Yoga Maya, Samavrita. Very interesting prefix, sam. Sam means completely. Avritaha means covered. Samavritaha means completely covered. Kind of like a sun which is so cloudy that sometimes you have to put your lights on during the daytime. You don't have there's not even a semblance of sun. Completely covered. So samavritaha. So he says, Naham prakashaha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha mudhaha ayam na abhijanati lokaha mam ajam avyayam. That people do not see that my para prakriti, which is unborn, is a very important word which will be very helpful to you. The more you think about it, the more you study it, the more you understand it. Hang on to this word, ajam, never born. Because the reason why this is important is because our entire life, our entire set of experiences stem from the assumption that I was born. It's kind of like, this is the old example, going to a car lot, and then you and your spouse had just some time to kill. You were not sure about, and so you were passing by, and there were some very nice new car dealers there, and you were there for shopping, and you were eating ice cream or something. You didn't go for buying a car. And you know how these salespeople are. They're so wonderful. They're so smooth. They'll say, "Hi, how are you? What a nice day today. So nice to see you. We've just got some beautiful shipment of new cars," and so on and so forth. So you said, "Really? What interesting." So pretty soon you get engaged. And what the sales rep starts to do is to say, I've gotten a brand new color that was not available before. This actually happened to me, by the way. This is a personal experience. So I was looking for my replacement for my old car, and I wanted to buy a hybrid. And I wanted to buy a German car. German cars are, in my view, are the best in the whole world. Ever since I had a Mercedes about 20-30 years ago, drove so well from Santa Cruz. I remember from Santa Cruz to San Jose, Highway 17 is very curvaceous and very dangerous. You have to really concentrate. But when I drove it on the Mercedes, it was 10 times easier. It was so precise. I loved it. So from that point on, I just became a devotee of German cars. But there were no hybrid cars. So I was just going around one time, and the local BMW dealership was, I found out that they have a hybrid BMW 530e. I said, this is fun, this is interesting, because I never knew they'd had one. So I walked into this sales place, and this sales rep said, "We have a brand new color," which is, he says, "I love the color. It has never been there before. That's in my current car, by the way. It's some kind of a gray blue thing or something. So what I remember is that I forgot about the hybrid nature and I started looking at colors. And eventually, I was not bamboozled by that, but I did get the color that he said, but I really found out that it gave 55 miles per gallon. And I bought it on that for a different reason. Anyway, going back to the story, I'm going around too much. So this couple goes to this, and the sales rep starts talking about what color of the car to buy. What it means is, it doesn't ask you, do you want to buy a car? It simply says what color of the car you want to get. It's similarly to this. He says, Yoga Maya Samavrita. We are so involved in where do I go do next? What is my next destination and so on. Not asking the question, do I need a destination? Why should I go anywhere? So the Shastra says exactly. You're like a dream, you're going all over the place and you want to have a better dream, a better dream, better dream. You don't need to go anywhere. Swami Tattva Ji says this so well. He says, this is a peculiar journey in our life. This is a journey which ends in saying, oh my God, I didn't need to have a journey. There's nothing else that I need to do. There's no new life, no prayers for anything. I am fine the way I am. This is the discovery. But I'm so enamored with things that need to be done. This is the Maya, Yoga Maya Samavrita. Mudhoyam na bhijanati lokaha mam ajam avyayam. He says you don't need to go anywhere. You just wake up. So this is the verse number 25. Oh yeah, so one other thing I wanted to introduce this topic to you, which is an analysis of Maya. Not an easy one. You have to look at it from various different ways. If you study the literature, you find there's so many different ways, and all of them are important. All of them are different aspects to look at before you can complete the picture and answer your basic question, why is this creation? And so here, this word Mohini is used someplace else. It's not here. I was looking to see. No, it's not there. This word Mohini is used for Maya. The word Mohini means, and this is done in a female version of it, that it is a temptress. Maya is a female, it's a female aspect of Ishvara. Ishvara has both the male aspect as well as a female aspect. And so the Maya Shakti, the projection, is presented as a female aspect of Ishvara, because Ishvara is both. So the female aspect of that is as that of a temptress. Temptress. Seducing. The seducer. In fact, in one of the, I forget where I saw that. I think it was in the Panchadashi. It is there in some of the other literature also. In Panchadashi, Maya is projected as a person who is a harlot. one who is a prostitute. A very interesting way of looking at it. And the way that it's pointed out is the prostitute lures you to get some money out of you. And so it is not for your own good. You have some enjoyment, sexual enjoyment for a short time. And if you're lucky, you were not drugged into losing your consciousness, where she takes your entire wallet, but at least some of the very expensive money is gone. So the Maya Shakti is sometimes likened to a harlot. This is what it says. Mohini. Mohini means, and even if it is not as extreme as a prostitute, just the fact that you get attracted on something which is not eventually of any good to you. So that's the reason why the Yoga Maya Samavritaha, etc. is given. Then I will finish with the verse number 426. For the first time, I think I wanted to do all 26, and I will have time to do so. So in the next 5 minutes, we should be able to finish this as well. So let's look at that. Number 26. Vedaham samatitani vartamani cha arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. Yeah, so more description of the Maya will also come here. I was wondering how come, because I was thinking about it last night, and how come it has not come. It is going to come. So here, by the way, one of the very important contributions of people that are writing commentaries on the Shastra. So this is why commentaries on Shastra by other very wise people is important. One of the reasons is that for each of the verses, the primary question that prompted that verse to be given is explained. This is what is called connections. Connections are so whenever you see someone who is doing a commentary on the Shastra, and the person is very good in pointing out the connections between verses, questions on why this verse is, that's a good commentary. So here, and people that understand it, that have read it before, they'll say this verse is asking is answering the following question. So take this example, number 26. He says, Veda aham samatitani vartamani cha arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. So look at the English translation of that. He says, Arjuna, I know all beings that have gone before, that exist now, and that will exist in the future, but no one knows me. I know everything, but no one knows me. This is what the verse is saying. The question is, why is this verse saying it? And here, this is what is pointed out is that if Maya is so powerful, how is it that Ishvara himself is not deluded? Good question. And here the answer is the controller I made a mistake. Should be controller controlled, not controller controller. That's what I have here, is controller controller, but controller controlled. And here Swami Paramarthananda gave a very beautiful example of Swami Chinmayananda. And I remember Swami Chinmayananda giving this example even when I was directly listening to him. Swami Chinmayananda gave this example that there is a father and a child. And the child is like 6 years old. So they were going somewhere and they found that there was a person handcuffed and the policeman was walking with him. This is the example. So the child asks the father, "Dad, what is this? Why is he handcuffed and who is the guy sitting, walking next to him?" So the dad says, he is a criminal. He's done something bad. And the police is a government official who controls him and he doesn't want him to run away. He's being taken away from someplace. So the child says, "Oh, okay." And as the contrived example goes, then later on, they find that there is a person with the handcuffs and there are 3 policemen. So the child says, "Why are there 3 policemen?" So the father says, son or daughter, he says, "Here's the situation. This criminal is a very important criminal. It is very important that he never runs away because he's done something really bad. So they have 3 policemen, not just 1 policeman, to take care of him." So the child says, "Oh, okay, I understand that." Now the contrived example is, there is a procession going on with a king and he's surrounded by 20 policemen. So the child tells the father, "Wow, this must be a huge criminal to have 20 people along with him." So the father says, No, that's not true. These are policemen that are employed by the king." So the child said, "Oh my God, I didn't understand any of this. Okay, I understand it now." So really speaking, the Maya Shakti is controlled by Ishvara, is not controlling the Ishvara. Whereas we are controlled under the influence of Maya Shakti. And so just like a magician and the magic, and the people who are under the spell of the magic, the magician is not, and he's the one who's creating this whole huge thing. And we are all saying, "Wow, how did this woman get cut into half?" Never got cut into half. Is some strange thing that he does. I still don't understand it, by the way, up to this point. So it's this. So anyway, the main thing is that Ishvara is the one that made it possible for this apparent creation through the Maya Shakti. It's an apparent creation. You cannot have multiplicity until you have an apparent creation. So a play is an apparent creation where you simulate problems, but there is no problems. There's no problems. And so this is the situation that one example that I think I may have given it to you before is this person who was from a village who went to a huge city and he made a lot of money. And he was always a soccer player. So he goes to this big city, and once he made so much money, he said, "I'm going to open a soccer club and participate in these professional soccer games." And so he did this. It was a very professionally played, very hard-fought soccer game. And he had an uncle in his village. He said, "I need to bring him and show him what I have done." So he brings his village to this, his uncle from the village. and says, I want to show you this soccer game. It's not just some silly thing in the backyard. These have got uniforms, they've got referees, and they are fighting hard. Anyway, so that's what happened for the next hour and a half. They had a huge fight, between two teams. And then he turned to his uncle and said, well, what did you think of that? Wasn't that nice? So the uncle's scratching his head and he says, not really. I don't understand why you did this. Don't you say you have enough money? He says, yeah, I have quite a bit of money. He said, why couldn't all the 22 people be given a ball each so they don't have to fight for a single ball? So the person said, oh my God, this is our situation. There is a soccer game going on in the world with, on one side there is coronavirus, and on the other side are people that are trying to escape from it, trying to attack it, find some medicines to eradicate it. This is the play. And we're saying, why? Why is this happening to us? And Ishvara is saying, oh my God, these guys do not understand. Yes, you get hurt in the games. It is all part of it. You cannot have a professional game without people who are hurt, and somebody wins, somebody loses. Not possible. But in the end, there is no game. It is just a game. This is all done through the Maya Shakti. Anyway, so that's number 26. I'll end it with one thing. I didn't finish this. One very interesting aspect of this is in the explanation of the Maya Shakti. One interesting, as I said, there are lots of different ways of looking at it. One explanation is that the Maya Shakti is the shadow of Ishvara. Shadow of Ishvara. And why is it considered to be a shadow? Because you look at the shadow as being neither separate from an individual. You cannot have your shadow being completely separate. It's not as though you're going in one direction and the shadow goes another way. So it's not separate from you. But is it the same as you? It's not the same as you. In fact, you are independent and the shadow is following you. And it doesn't look like you most of the time. Occasionally may have a silhouette may be the same. The Maya Shakti is like that, of the Ishvara. Is one aspect of looking at it. Anyway, we do not have a traditional question answer. This is one of the disadvantages of not having in a personal class, a real class. But I think that there is a way to use the YouTube chat window to look at questions and be able to answer it. And I think Chandra and Raj are both helping me with making that happen. I didn't have enough time to really absorb how to do that today. Hopefully this was, as it is, a new experiment. And I'm anxious to get some feedback from some of the students here and from you if you want to. How did it go? How can I do things differently? Was it okay? And one of the things we will try to do next week, hopefully, is to get this chat window open so that in the last 15 minutes of the class, I will actually look at your questions and be able to answer them. And in the meantime, feel free to give me an email I really like to hear from all of you. And so with that, I close today's class and beginning of a new phase that I don't know how long it's going to last. Only Ishvara knows for sure, so we will see. So with that, I say a small prayer and then a goodbye. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Tat Sat.